Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And today we get to have a great conversation with a beautiful young lady who's also a coach along with her husband and or significant other. We haven't discussed that part of it, but we're going to talk about something that, quite frankly, if you talk to the people that I've had relationships with, they'll tell you that I've failed miserably. And I like to say I was married for 24 years. It was the best 6 months of my life. And I'm sure she feels the same way wherever she might be today and stuff. So they are the Relentless Couple. And Charissa Halonen is with us. Did I say that even close to correctly?
You actually nailed it. Good job.
Oh, geez, that's new. And they have a coaching practice. And what they do is they help couples figure out relationships, nutrition, better ways of being understanding to each other. And it really is a complete program. If you go to their website, which is the Relentless Couple wixsite.com, and you can follow along and get all the information about what they do. And I highly recommend, if you're entering into a relationship, if you're new at it, there really isn't a book that can talk about what is going on with you on a personal, specific level, and rather than the books that are about relationships and they're just real generic and stuff. So what they do is a little bit different. Charissa, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Kevin. I'm excited to be here.
How did you and your significant other figure out that what the Relentless Couple was something that you wanted to help other people with? Because, as you know, there's no manual, there's no license, there's no way of knowing what the hell's going to happen when you get into a relationship until it's way too late.
That is so true. And that's part of why we wanted to do this stuff. So when we met, I was into fitness. He was getting back into his fitness journey. And we knew that helped us be better people. And then go ahead.
I was going to say, did you meet in the gym?
No, we met through a mutual friend.
Oh, that's cool. And that mutual friend must still be in your life today because it seems to be working out really well.
Absolutely. And for me, it was a non-negotiable. I was like at peace. I was doing my thing in the gym, feeling really good, feeling happy in all areas of life. So I'm like, if me being into fitness, it doesn't work for you, then this just won't work. And he was like, no, I'm good with it.
I'm gonna get into shape. I promise. I'm gonna start doing crunches. I will. And apparently he followed through. That's really cool.
Yeah, he did. He was on his own fitness journey when we met, and he ended up by losing 70 pounds in the first year that we were together. And so it's just, we saw how much it impacted the relationship. When you don't dislike yourself and you're not fighting with yourself, then you show up better in relationships too. So we had a coach that we were working with because we believe in coaches having coaches that was like, you guys should be coaches. You guys work really well together. We face things head on, and just really learning that the only way a relationship works is if you're willing to work on it every day and communicate, which is the hardest thing for most people.
Well, and I got to ask you, because you've always been into fitness. You look very fit. You look great. And he was 70 pounds more than he is now. Was there a moment in time when you said, this ain't going to work if he goes the other way and gets up to 90 pounds, was there a concern there, or was he so adamant that he was going to fix himself and get into shape that he made you believe in his mission?
Well, he had been on fitness journeys before, and to give complete transparent context, when I met him, it was shortly after his wife had passed away unexpectedly. So
Oh, I'm so sorry.
he was in the throes of now navigating being a single parent to 2 children and working and farming and all of those things. So he was putting his health first because he knew that that was the only thing that was actually going to get him through it. And that was before I met him. And so having that where we were both really invested in becoming the better versions of ourselves actually gave us a good foundation to start from. So he had his own little journey going on. It wasn't just because I was into fitness. He was already making those life changes for himself. He just had a little bit of a further way to go compared to where I was when I met him.
Well, and you bring up a very interesting point, because he was married and they had 2 children. He lost his wife. And then he looked at his 2 children and said, and I'm sure that he said this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he said, "We just lost your mom. I'm not going to let you lose me too. And so I'm going to take the steps that I need to take in order to become a better dad and to be fit so that I'll be around for you, because we've all gone through this horrific grief-filled moment." Was that kind of his mindset?
Yeah, it was very much realizing that he needed to step up in many different ways, and that the first thing that he could actually control was how much effort he was putting into his health and his nutrition and all of that, and start with the things that you can actually tangibly start in the moment.
And so to continue the story, you guys get together, and your coach. And by the way, I want to make this perfectly clear to everyone. When I first started doing broadcasting in 2002, 2003, coaching was a new thing. A lot of people, and in those days, you could go get a weekend course and then call yourself a coach. It didn't mean that you were a coach, or it didn't mean that you were a good one. And a lot of people did that. But as time evolved over the last 20 years, it's become a real art form. And I suggest, if you do not have I have a coach. Everybody I know has a coach. If you don't have a coach who is honest with you and is able to tell you the truth, because that's a big deal, rather than tell you what you want to hear, they tell you the truth and they ask hard questions. If you don't have a coach, get one. Because if you want to become the person that you would really like to be, you really need someone who's not a relative, who's not a spouse, who's not a dear friend that doesn't want to hurt your feelings. You need somebody that's going to tell you, dare I say it, the truth. Charissa, do you agree with that?
100%. And having that coach that's willing to step on that limb and tell you the truth is actually going to help you propel forward. Because when you don't get told the truth and you get told what you want to hear, you stay small and you don't actually have that opportunity to grow, which is a disservice.
And you're going to hear things from a coach who's going to make you think about things that you may have thought about, but you don't want to bring up, and you don't want anybody else to talk to you about it, because that is not the thing that you really want to have, because it's a lot easier. But if you're determined to create the life, and I hope everybody does, with passion and with gusto, and something that you really want to become the best version of yourself, you need somebody to tell you the truth. And that's why a coach is there. And especially, I haven't read any really good books on relationships, and they don't teach you. As an example, before I got married, my wife and I went to a church to be counseled by a pastor. Well, that pastor, I was 25, she was 21, and he was in his 50s. And how he was going to coach us young kids on how to, and I mean young kids, on how to have a relationship that he hadn't had in 40 years, that doesn't work. that doesn't work. You have to have somebody who knows, who gets you, who understands where you are and what's happening between you. And hopefully you'll go see the Relentless Couple before you become a relentless couple, because they can help you decide. They can kind of give you some ideas on how a relationship should be operated, how it works, how to make it happy for everybody in all areas of the relationship. Is that true?
Absolutely. It really is showing all the nuancy things of why it's important to pour into it every day, why it's important to still pour into yourself as an individual and the couple, the marriage, whatever partnership you have. It's really important. There are no days off. You can't take any days off from either of those and expect to build your best life.
And speaking from experience, it it would be really helpful if you knew whether or not she could do math or he could do math before you married them, because somebody's got to be in charge of the checkbook. And somebody's got to be in charge of the finances. And if nobody has a clue about that, I suggest you take a course or to work with a coach who can help you figure that part out, because isn't that one of the biggest couple issues, is finances and who's spending what where?
It can be, but I think it's all about having honest conversations about what your beliefs are, right? And it's like knowing what we think the roles are in a partnership, not even just a marriage, but when you're together, what do you think the roles are? And having all of those questions about kids, marriage, relationship, finances, work, not work, all of those things are conversations most people avoid because they'd like to get to the physical stuff. And then they worry about the other stuff later when it's a problem, because we've never had those conversations.
Well, the other thing I like to say is even with the physical stuff, you still have 23 hours and 55 minutes in the day that you have to look at each other and not have physical stuff. Does that make sense?
100%.
And that other 5 minutes I'll leave to your imagination. But most of the time it's, how do you relate to each other? What are you going to do when you have children? I had a conversation with a gal last hour, and I want to know what your take is on this.
Okay.
Because loading the dishwasher is a big deal. I had no idea how big a deal loading the dishwasher, as they say, properly is. Because if you don't know how your significant other feels about loading the dishwasher and how they do it, and then you do it incorrectly, and then you walk into the kitchen and they have the dishwasher door open and they're reorganizing what you just did, that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
No, it doesn't. I've heard a quote about this that makes me laugh every time. It's like there are two people in a relationship. One that loads the dishwasher like a Scandinavian architect, and the other that loads it like a trash panda. And at the end of the day, in 5 years, will it matter if it's not done the right way? No, it doesn't. So you have to pick the battles and let go of things, because it's nice that the dishes are being loaded and it's not just another thing that I would have to do, because I'm the Swedish architect and he's the trash man for the dishes.
And the other thing that she said is, putting your dish on the counter isn't the same as loading the dishwasher.
No. But I've learned if you give it long enough, you'll realize that it was a part of the process of how they load the dishwasher, is that 25 minutes later, it'll go in the dishwasher.
So,
It's not immediate.
so it can be like, well, I put it on the counter 3 days ago and it's still there. I don't know why you didn't just load it into but that's what relationships oftentimes are not about the big things. It's not about the sex. It's not about the big ideas. It's the little things, the day-to-day things. The why do you put your underwear in the middle of the hallway and then I'm supposed to go pick it up? That kind of stuff of just day-to-day living. As the Relentless Couple, do you recommend that people discuss all of that, or maybe even, dare I say it, live together for a little while before they make it permanent?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of having these conversations when you're dating before you even move in together, because why commit so much time and not ask the questions to possibly find out it's actually a misalignment and it's going to end badly for both of you? Ask these questions at the beginning.
And that's why you need a coach. If we had a coach that could have delved into beyond the superficial stuff that we were talking about. Do you want to have children? Well, sure. Who is going to do the finances? Well, I can do the finances until everything started bouncing, and then that became a problem. But we didn't talk at a deep level about stuff. And we really needed somebody to be there to say, okay, so what did you mean by that? And why do you feel this way? And how do you feel about it at a deeper level? Because at one point in time in your relationship, you're going to need that deep commitment to each other.
Yeah.
If you don't have that conversation, you will never be able to achieve that. And we didn't know how. We came from two families that buried stuff. Are you familiar with that what I'm talking about? It's like if they would have we would have an argument, and then we'd go to bed, and the next day nobody ever talked again about what that argument was about.
Yeah.
Rather than solve the issue, they just buried it. And so that's where we came from. So that's where she thought it belonged. We should just bury stuff and not talk about it. But over time, resentments builds, and
100%.
things don't work out so well. So everybody needs a coach, and I've beat that to death, and we need to take a break. But it is so important. And Charissa and me will be right back. No, Charissa and I will be right back after we do this quick break. It's just 45 seconds, so relax, everybody, and stay right with us, please.
You became a real estate agent for freedom, success, and real momentum. So why are you still stuck waiting for closings to save you? I'm Ophir Adar, founder of Real Momentum, and I help agents like you become seven-figure earners. My first client that I coached, brand new agent, made $250,000 back in 2006. What's the secret? You feed your white wolf. That's the part of you that's bold and unstoppable and a closer and able to build rapport quickly. So click Get Listings at Real Momentum and let's unleash your real estate potential.
And welcome back, everybody. See, that didn't take long. And Charissa Halonen is with us. And go to her website again, which she is, I would like to say, the better half of the Relentless Couple. And if you go to the Relentless Couple the Relentless Couple Wix site, wixsite.com. You can find out all about them and the work that they do. Charissa, what, in your opinion, is the number one issue that couples come to you with?
That one is very much trying to figure out what their roles are, right? And it's just communication. They don't ask those deeper questions about the roles that they want to do. But also, a lot of people think that it's a new relationship and all the old stuff doesn't exist. Not true. Everything from your old past relationships, if you do not address it and heal it, comes to live in your brand new relationship with this new person that you love, and then does the same damage as before. So you actually have to look at the things that are coming up and be able to say, is this mine? Is this theirs? And is this in this relationship? Because lots of times it's old stuff that's being projected and not actually healed.
Boy, you just hit home with me on that, because and I don't know if any of your clients or anybody you've worked with have ever had this experience, but I was 15 when I started dating my high school sweetheart. And we dated for 2 years. I was deeply, madly in love with her. And then she decided, I'm not madly in love with you anymore. So she left. And I judged every relationship thereafter, not by who she was, but who my fantasy had created in my mind that she was. And I judged every relationship, which may be why they didn't turn out all that good. Do you think?
Yeah, just a little bit.
And because nobody can live up to a myth.
No. Right?
And go
when
ahead.
you romanticize it in your head, it's not actually reality anymore. So it never existed.
Exactly. And then years later, after I'd gained some wisdom about myself, I she was she was a great gal. She's passed now, but she married somebody else, and she was incessantly late. I mean, we're not talking 10 minutes. We're not talking half hour. She could be late by an hour and a half or 2 hours all the time. And we would have an appointment with somebody and she would be late. That drives me absolutely crazy. And so I would never have had a relationship with her. But, oh, she was the one. She was the one I loved. And so it's like, it was an absolute self-creation in my head and a myth that had never existed except in my head. Can you help somebody like that?
Yeah, actually, because I go through what beliefs you're holding. And then it's like, okay, is that yours? Is it true? What needs to be true for that not to be the real thing? So it's like going through each idea, belief, or pattern or habit and figuring out the root and being like, okay, is that actually serving you? Do you want more of that? And if the answer is no, then that's where we start reframing and giving a redirect so that you can actually start creating the life you really want to have and having that self awareness so that when you do meet that next person, you don't keep repeating the same pattern because you're like, oh, there it is. Now I do this.
Is that why, and I like to say this, women sometimes, if they don't heal from past trauma and learn different things, they end up dating the same guy in a different suit.
Yeah, because they haven't learned the lesson yet.
But the insidious thing about it is that a lot of people don't even know what that lesson is.
Right. Well, and that's when you have to look at it. It's like, so when you've failed in your relationships before, the common denominator is you, right? Because that if it wasn't you in the relationship, it wouldn't be your relationship. So when you
That's not fair.
I had to do this personally before I met Tyler. I had the ability to attract all the wrong people and think it was going to be the one. And I had to sit down and be intentionally single for 6 months. And I wrote every relationship out, what I compromised on, what I gave in on, where I should have compromised and I didn't. And each relationship, I dissected my part in it. I can't change the other person, but I can darn well look at what did I do in radical honesty and be like, oh, my next relationship, these are the things that I'm looking for. These are the things that I need to be able to have a compromising mind about and not be so freaking stubborn. And these are the things that are hard no's. These are not compromising for me, whereas before I would have compromised. And doing that deep dive gave me the basis of where I need to function from as a person to be in alignment with all relationships, not just an intimate one, but how I show up in business and with my family and friends. It made a huge impact for me to actually take honest inventory and be accountable for every relationship that I had that failed.
You just said the two words that most people have a real problem with. And that is total honesty with yourself and accountability with yourself.
Yeah. They are incredibly scary things to people because they're like, man, I have to admit that I did that. Yes. But then you get to be free from the shame of it because if you made that choice, you can make something different. But if somebody else made that choice, then somebody else will have to do something different for your life to change. So it's the reward for being honest and accountable is that you actually get to change your own life.
And that can be a remarkably freeing thing, can't it?
100%.
And that is the one thing, and especially with, well, in all your relationships, whether it's a business relationship, a friendship relationship, or a intimate relationship, we all have the same dynamics that go on with all of those individuals. And a lot of times we get into it and we have no idea why or how we got into this situation, and then it has happened before, and it's not them, because you're repeating the same thing. I've done this a lot, because I tend to be a people pleaser and try and be a nice guy kind of thing, and so I end up saying things and doing things out of kindness and being a nice guy that I don't necessarily mean, or that's not good for me long term. Is that a thing, or should I be on medication?
No, it's a thing. I was a people pleaser growing up, so I can relate to that a lot. The thing with being a people pleaser is that there's always going to be one person unhappy, which is you, right? Because being a people pleaser, we're giving to other people thinking that they're going to think we're amazing and give right back to us. Not true. They just take until you don't let them take anymore. And they get mad when they don't get to take anymore, and they turn it around on you and say, you're the problem, you've changed, I don't like who you are. But you actually have to do you first. Like, you have to feed into you first, because otherwise you're going to create resentment in you.
And because you're absolutely right. You say, well, if I'm nice to this person and I do this, they're going to reciprocate and they're going to be nice to me back. And then they're going to do this. It doesn't work like that, because they get used to taking and you get used to giving. And then that becomes the foundation of the relationship. And then it doesn't work. And when you finally say to yourself, this ain't working because all I'm doing is giving and all they're doing is taking. And from their perspective, it's like, isn't this how it's supposed to work? You set up the game. This is what we're supposed to do.
And that's the being accountable, right? Because when you are a people pleaser and that's how you go into the relationship, that's how you're teaching them to treat you. And you're not saying, hey, whoa, actually, this is a give and take, not just a take, give. So if you're not calling it out, then you're creating that to be your dynamic, right?
Can you teach people better communication skills so that they mean what they say, not think that they're saying something that the other person wants to hear, so that you can be clear about your communications?
Yeah. And a lot of it comes from self-respect first. If you respect yourself, you aren't going to say or do things that you don't actually want to do, because that's not respectful to yourself. That is making yourself a martyr. So coming from a place of respect, there is an ability to compromise, that maybe there's something you don't love, but it doesn't hurt you to do it this one time, but it doesn't become the standard. Whereas if you aren't being respectful of yourself and you are just doing things that you genuinely do not want to do, you are sabotaging yourself, and you're also creating it so that the other person is thinking that that's what you like. So you're teaching them the wrong thing. And it's a lot of times it seems like people are scared to actually have an opinion and voice it out loud, because then maybe this person won't like me. Maybe they won't want to hang out with me. And I'm like, if they actually got to know you as a person, and if they didn't like you, wouldn't it be better to know that you're not a match now, instead of pretending to be somebody, which creates disrespect in yourself, and it creates a lack of trust in yourself, and then it just breeds resentment? That's not fun. So
No.
as scary as it is to get rejected, because we all want connection, we all want to be loved and love, it's better to have that self-respect and then create the opportunity for the person who's actually your match to come in. Because you're actually, when you're being self-respectful and you're being in your own authenticity, you vibrate at your unique frequency, which means the person that's meant to resonate with that will be able to come in. But if you keep being out of tune for your own life, then you're calling in the wrong tunes. And it's coming from a lack of self awareness and being okay with maybe they won't like it.
When we come back from this break, I have to ask you the one thing that I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about. And it resonated with me because I was thinking about it as I was trying to sleep last night. The concept of self-sabotage. And also, throughout the course of your life, based upon what happens and your belief structure and who you are, your energy level and your vibrational level will change. And if you don't change together as a couple, then you tend to drift apart. I'd love to talk about those things when we come back, especially self-sabotage, because I think everybody does that in one degree or another. We will be right back in a minute 10. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Charissa. I love that name, by the way. Your parents did a great job naming you that. Charissa Halonen, correct?
You got it.
Hey, what do you know? What do you know? It's great to have you here. You are just dynamic, and self-sabotage. We do it, and we don't even know we've done it until it's way too late, don't we?
For the most part, yeah. And it comes from a belief that isn't aligned with you, right? A lot of times it's a fear of failure or like proving to yourself why you're going to fail again. You do things to sabotage yourself. Be like, see, failed again. Can't do it.
That is so true. And you know, it happens to people. And is it fear? Is it fear of success? Is that even a thing?
Yeah. It's one of the main fears: fear of success, fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of being seen. Right? That's why you can make so much progress. And then all of a sudden, when you get closer to that next level, then you sabotage, because then that fear of success comes in, or being seen more.
And so then you can justify why you're not successful because of the sabotage that you did. You try and hide that you did it, but you did it. And then you can say, see, I just wasn't good at that anyway, or that relationship or whatever it was.
Or sometimes there's a belief behind it too. Like some people make, say $250,000, but they can't make more than that. No matter how hard they try, it just doesn't work. But then you go into it and they have a belief that people who are wealthy are evil or something like that, where there's this deeper core belief that is usually a conditioning from our surroundings, our communities, or our parents. A lot of times it's family related. that you hear this, money that is the root of all evil, or, you have to be bankrupt to get successful, and different things that we repeatedly hear come up later that we don't even realize that's why we're sabotaging, is because we have this unaudited belief that's creating that little badger to come in and dig underneath you, and then you fall back down to what's comfortable for you.
Yes, son, money doesn't grow on trees. And so, it's not easy. You're going to have it's hard to make money, and it doesn't grow on trees, and everybody's going to try and take it from you. And if you believe those things that people tell you, then guess what? It is going to be that way.
Yeah, because you think it's hard to make money, and you think people are going to always try and rob you and steal you.
It's the funniest thing. And just a real quick story. Years ago, I was in a network marketing group, and it was called Isogenics, and there were 5 of us, 4 girls and me, and we were being taught by a guy out of Vegas. His name is Kirk, and he was mentoring us. And he said, this is what you need to do, and you need to go do this and talk to this and talk to these people. And it was like, oh man, I don't know if I can do that. That's hard. I don't know. I can't do it. And so 4 out of the 5 of us said, that's really hard. I don't know if we can do it. The 5th girl made a fundamental switch. Her name is Nicole. And she made a fundamental switch because she came to one of the meetings and said, I can do this. This is easy. This is easy. Just go talk to people. And that's, oh, no, that's hard. We can't do it. Oh, no, this is really easy. Well, fast forward, the 4 of us dropped out, and she is now a multimillionaire with that company.
Yeah.
Because she knew that she could, and she turned it from, I can't do it, it's so hard, to it's easy. Just do it. It's easy. That's a fundamental switch and so she didn't self-sabotage. We all did. And so she ended up making it because she believed that she could. Belief is a big deal, isn't it?
It's a huge deal. That's what I tell the clients. I'm like, if you don't believe in yourself, borrow my belief, because I know there's more for you. I know there's bigger, and I know you're just stuck right now. So it's creating that belief is where you'll move from or not move from. If you don't believe in yourself, then you're really not going to go that far. But if you have this undeflatable belief in yourself, nobody will stop you. Even if everybody tells you you're crazy, you'll never stop because you just have such belief in yourself.
That is so true. When I made that fundamental shift, it made it possible for me to continue to do what I'm doing today, and to be able to talk to you, because this is a real big deal for me. And we also wanted to talk about energy, because we all are energetic beings in a physical body. And as we change, and as we grow, and as we develop ourselves, our vibrational level and our energy level actually changes. And because of that, we don't resonate with the same people that we used to resonate, because our energy level now is way higher, and theirs is still stuck where it was. And then you hear things like, you've changed. I don't understand you at all anymore, because you used to do this and be this way, and now you're operating at a whole different level. How do you help couples? By the way, we're talking with Charissa, and she is the Relentless Couple, and we'll give you the website in just a second. How do you help people recognize that, so that they can understand the concept and work together to change and raise their vibration together?
Well, the first thing is, a lot of times when you hear you've changed, it's because people lack the wording to say you've grown, right? So it keeps you small in the bubble that they benefited from. And know that you're not required to change at the same rate and the same time. It's holding space and respect for the people as you change. And there's a technique where you can actually do 2 minutes of eye gazing with your partner, just sitting and eye gazing. And that helps you recalibrate to the new energy if somebody has shifted or transformed in a way, which gives the other person permission to be where they are securely without thinking now they have to change, right? And as we grow in different ways, we are meant to outgrow people. You're people pleasing and you grow out of that. You don't want those people who benefited from you being a people pleaser around, because they will not allow you to be your new version. And it's just understanding that in order for you to become your best version, there's levels of being misunderstood that you just have to allow people to live in their perspective respectfully.
So it changes from, I really need to tell this person what I think that they want to hear so that they won't think less of me and they'll be my friend, to I'm not really interested in you being my friend if this is how you're going to present yourself, because this isn't who I am anymore. And I have much more respect for myself. Is that kind of how that works?
100%. It's knowing the dynamic from before and allowing that person to stay where they are, because not everybody grows at the same rate. And some people come to this lifetime to not grow. And that's a harder thing, being people who want to raise a vibration. But it's just allowing, not being bothered that they're now misunderstanding you and mad saying you've changed, when really you've actually become more your own because you are being more respectful to yourself.
I learned that when I was driving a bus in Seattle, because there were people that said, well, he's homeless. You should try and talk him out of being homeless and getting help and not being addicted and stuff like that. And it's like, well, I can ask, but that's their choice. And that may be why they're here this time, to experience that. So it's not up to me to determine that for another human being. The only thing that I can determine is who I am and how I'm going to respond to me. Is that true? Is that right?
100%. And the way that you can impact change, because we can't make other people change. It's a futile effort if I've ever seen it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was married once, and that was no, I'm like, but you know what I'm saying is that there are people that want you to change because it suits them, but that doesn't necessarily suit who you are or what you want to be.
You changing for somebody else means that they don't have to change. Because a lot of times it's a bad behavior that they want to keep. And by you acting in a people-pleasing way, they don't have to own up to the fact that they are a taker. Right? Because, well, if it bothered him, he'd say something. Not how it works with people pleasers. We're very attached to people liking us. So
yeah, that's kind of a big deal for us. It really is.
It is the big deal. But then when you actually have to flip that script to, I have to like myself first. Because then if I like myself, I'm going to act from a fulfilled way instead of an external validation way where I'm trying to get validated from other people because I'm not doing it myself. But not everybody is going to change. And that is up to the person. It's not our job to try and change people. If we want to help people change, show from your actions. Be that person that creates inspiration for other people that A, something is possible, and B, that you are constantly leading with your actions, not your words, because everybody actually goes based off of what somebody does versus what they say they're going to do. It's just a natural thing that humans do.
Are you telling me that there are people walking around this planet who say that they're going to do one thing, but actually do something else?
Yes.
Be still my foolish heart. I had no idea.
Children.
Because and so, there are people in our audience going, yeah, well, maybe that maybe that's true now. Because do you find, and we need to take a break here, and I want to play something that's very special to me, to you. But do you find that the conversations that we have with people are really interesting from the standpoint of not necessarily what's being said, but what's being inferred behind what's being said with the body language and do they really mean that, or are they just saying that? That's a thing too with human relationships, isn't it?
100%. And we always believe the actions, not the words.
Yes, and because most of the time the actions are a lot more real than what the words are that people say.
Well, and if there's a lie, the actions are going to be different than the words. Lots of people cannot actually lie with their body language at the same time as their words. Only sociopaths can really do that.
Yes. So you learn. So yeah, and okay, I'm not going to say that. But sure, Charissa Halonen is our guest, and go to their website, which is the Relentless Couple, and it's the relentlesscouple.wixsite.com. Find out all about them. Now, Charissa, I'm going to play this, and I want your opinion on the other side of it, if you would be so kind.
Absolutely.
The strength of staying kind from your friends at Positive Talk Radio. Kindness is not weakness. It takes real strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards anger, ego, and control. Being kind means choosing to act from your values, not your wounds. It means showing grace even when no one's watching. But kindness doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting people take advantage of your time, your energy, or your peace. You can be kind and still say no. You have a soft heart with firm boundaries. The strongest people I know are the ones who choose compassion without losing themselves. They've been hurt. They've been tested. And still, they choose to love and lead and to lift others anyway. Kindness is not about pleasing everybody. It's about honoring who you are and how you treat others, even when it's hard. So stay kind, stay human, and stay strong. And always remember this, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. That is maybe one of my favorite ads that I've ever done. And that's not an ad, but a short that I've ever done of all time. What did you think of it?
I think it's so spot on. Kindness is free. Doesn't cost you anything, but it will get you everywhere because it just creates a space for people to exist. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is just be quiet.
Absolutely. And let people do what they're going to do and understand that it is not your place to judge them or to set them to set them straight. I got to set this guy straight because of what that's not your job. No. Let them do the gospel according to Paul McCartney, which is another thing of mine, is let it be.
Yeah.
Do you agree with any of that? I think you do.
100%. Honestly, when people are trying to set people straight about something, what they're actually trying to do is leave my opinion. This is what I know to be true and I believe it. So then that has to be the thing. No, there's space for every opinion. There's a space for differing opinions and creating that you don't have to correct people, even if they're saying something that you think is wrong or mispronouncing a word, unless they're asking for it. Just let them have the space to be. It's the same thing that we want from other people is you're allowed to just be respectful and let other people have their opinions. Don't have to agree. Don't have to like it. We can just carry on.
And in the United States right now, I got to tell you, it's a thing. It's a thing of not being kind to each other because a lot of us are living under hate, division, and fear rather than just letting it be and being kind to other people and letting them, tell me if this is, I think this is true, but you tell me. If somebody is believing something that makes absolutely no sense and it's wrong and you know it to be wrong, they're going to find that out sooner or later. And then if you tell them they're wrong, they're not going to listen to you anyway. So just let them be and they'll figure it out on their own or they won't. That's not your job.
Yeah. It's one of those where it's like, are they hurting anybody believing that?
That is the difference.
Right.
If you believe that it's okay for you to take your gun and to shoot it into a crowded street because that's your right as a gun owner to do that, well, that's kind of oversteps the line a little bit. Now, Charissa, we've got about 10 minutes, and I would love for you to tell our audience about the Relentless Couple and all the work that you do and how you can be of help to them. Because like we said at the early on, everybody needs a coach. And I'm telling you, everybody needs a relationship coach, because you can be doing things and saying things, and until someone like Charissa brings it up and you say, I didn't say that, that wasn't what I intended, because you don't get it, because you're not looking outside yourself,
Yeah.
and you have your own agenda. So so tell us why somebody should come to work with the Relentless Couple. First of all, you're awesome.
Well, thank you. We believe from leading from the front. So everything that we set out for people to do to help build their better versions is stuff that we do every day. I'm up early. I eat my macros. I read self-development. I work out, and I actively every day work on myself. And so does Tyler. We work on our marriage together too, but that's the biggest thing in relationships, is not losing yourself because now you're just the wife or the husband or partners, whatever it might be in your situation. It's about realizing that you still have to work on you as a person, because you still have physical needs of food, water, bathing, all of those things, movement, but then your relationship needs work every day. All right. And it's about learning how to actually spend time. What does connection look like? What are things that you guys can do together? Like, shared new experiences are one of the best ways to help build a relationship. One of the things that Tyler and I did at the beginning was a couple's boudoir shoot. We had never done that before, either one of us. And that's very, very much out of the comfort zone. Our photographer is still a friend today and fantastic, but it was one of those where, like, oh gosh, we bonded because it was such an expansive experience for us, because we had never done that. And you're mostly in your underwear in front of a stranger. So just learning how to actually connect and to sift through things that don't need to be in this relationship. You are allowed to change as a person. All the stuff from before is going to show up. So then how do you navigate it when it does show up? Right. And I had my own stuff. Tyler had his own stuff. And it was recognizing, hey, did I do something to create this? And he'd be like, no. And I'm like, okay, cool. Go work on that. And then we'll talk. Right. Or he'll be like, I didn't do anything. I think you need to go spend some time with this. Right. It wasn't just me picking on him. It was him bringing up stuff for me, because I used to be such a people pleaser. There was things that I was doing that was driving him nuts. He's like, you don't need to do that. We're in a safe relationship. And that's the biggest thing people don't understand, is being in a healthy and safe relationship feels really weird if you have a history of really bad relationships that weren't safe or weren't healthy. It feels very strange to be in one where there's good communication. You can face things head on, because life is not going to be like, okay, well, you're together now. There's no challenge ever that you're going to face. Nope. You face a lot of challenges.
They said that when I got married, and it was like, now you're married and you're going to be, you're going to be fine for the rest of your life. Well, they failed to realize that 24 years later, when I was saying, I'm not happy, I want to find out why I'm here and what I'm here to do. And my job as a district sales manager, and I was making good money, and I had a company car, and we had the house and the kids and the dog and the cat and all that stuff. And I was prepared to throw it all away for a dream. And I did that because I felt so strongly about it. But because I did that, all the friends and family did not support this new me that had emerged from the district sales manager guy. And they were like, this is very uncomfortable. Are you going to make any living doing this? Are you? And nobody even wanted to ask those questions and stuff. So ultimately, everybody left, and including my wife. Now, my kids had to stay because they had to, but everybody else is gone. But now I've surrounded myself with people who get me, who understand who I am, and that is the biggest blessing I could possibly have.
And that's when you were honest with yourself that you had this change of heart and that you needed to explore it. And then you've been able to navigate all of that, even though it was difficult.
I had what I call my bad country music song period, and that happens, and that's okay. It's part of the journey. And if you take the journey as a grand adventure rather than a slog through the swamp, it's a lot more fun, isn't it?
It is. Well, and one of when Ty and I wrote our own vows, part of it was you will never have to bear any burden alone. Right. And so that's what we remind ourselves. If we're trying to do something on our own or, thinking that it's supposed to be sunshine and rainbows, it's like, no, we're not supposed to bear burdens alone, which means we're going to have burdens along the way. And it's like, now you have somebody to work with or to lean your head up against instead of laying in the mud as you're facing these things and changing things. Like becoming a coach is a big life change because I was a massage therapist for 18 years before this. And then I'm now a coach. I went through mentorship and stuff like that, but it's like that identity. Everybody's like, oh, I don't know if that's going to be a good thing. Are you sure that's what you want to do? Like, were you forced into this? And so it was really interesting to see where people were comfortable. Charissa as a massage therapist was very comfortable for them. Charissa as the mindset coach and helping people transform their lives. Oh, maybe she might start digging into me. I think is what they're thinking.
As well. Yeah. And it's an important transition that you've made. You're still a being of service. Yeah. Your service is more in depth and is different than it was as a massage therapist, even though when you had somebody on the table, so you probably had some of the most remarkable conversations known to man, because that's just what happens on a massage table.
Absolutely. And I get to impact more people because when you have a person on the table, you don't really want to have more than one person on the table. That could get a little awkward. So now in an hour, I can do things like this where we're reaching so many other people and sharing ways that they can transform their lives, because so many people are at that cusp where they want to do something different, but nobody's supporting it, or they just really don't know where to go.
Yeah, and my son, when he was in a particular relationship, they went to couples massage. Never heard of that before. But apparently that's kind of a thing where a couple goes to a massage, they get naked together, and then they have somebody massage them.
Two massage therapists, you get massages at the same time. Yeah. And so it's a way bond.
Is there a point in time when the massage therapists leave the room for like 10 or 15 minutes?
No, that would be maybe some kind of other thing. Usually massage places, for the most part, are pretty just, you get a treatment at the same time. And if that leads to stuff later, that's at a different building, not ours.
You don't have like a lounge that people can go and yeah. And
no,
then
I would not want to see it.
That would be creepy, by the way. So, in any event, Charissa Halonen has been our guest, and she is awesome. And Troy is its first name?
Tyler,
dang it. And that's it. See, that's why I'm not a salesman anymore, because I can never remember names. But in any event, tell Tyler hi for us. You got to come back. I would love to have you back, and the both of you together, and see if I can cause an argument. No, I'm just kidding.
We're pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I bet you are. So thank you again for being here. And again, go to our website, which is the Relentless Couple wixsite.com. Find out all about them. You are just sensational, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it was a pleasure to spend time with you today and have such a great conversation.
Good. And thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And we'll be back with another episode soon. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. That's